Hello friends, welcome to all on my YouTube channel, and today we are going to see the next part of our basics of Python, that is nothing but Python variables and constant. So let's move ahead. And what is the variable in a Python? So its name itself indicates a variable means which can accept the different value, it can vary with the different value, that is called as a variable. So variable is a name location that is used here to store the data in a memory. We can assign the different values to the variable, and that's why the name itself indicating it's a vary according to the assigning value. So let's see in detail that what is exactly the variable. So as usual, whatever the definition is there of variable in different programming language, the same is applicable here. Only the way how we are writing is differing from other language. So a variable is name location that is used to store the data in a memory. Some examples, like if we are saying a num is the variable and we are assigning some value as a 500, so it is called as a variable. So variable name is num, and whatever the value we are assigning to the variable, that is called as a literals in a Python. So we have already seen that literals topic in the previous video in our basics of Python. So here 500 is an integer value, which is the integer literal that we are assigning to the variable say num, and therefore the type of this variable num becomes the integer because of that assigned value. The same way, if we are assigning the string type of data to any particular variable, so the type of that variable becomes the string. So here the string is one variable where we are assigning welcome to AIT, likewise value to that variable. So here we can see that variable can accept the different kind of values, and in Python that becomes the type of that variable. So whatever value we are assigning, that becomes the type of variable in Python. So no need to specify the type of variable in advance, like in C++ we are defining that what kind of value the variable can accept, and then we are assigning the value. So here there is no need to define that variable and the type of variable. Now how to declare and how to assign the values to variable. So Python is a type input language, so you don't have to explicitly define a variable type. That is what I am saying here. So no need to mention that which kind of values that variable can accept. Whatever we are going to assign, that becomes the type over here. So one example is there that we have a website as a variable. So here website act as a variable, and we are assigning one string value like apple.com to that variable. And if we try to print that variable website, then what happens in output? We can see whatever the string is assigned to the variable website, that is what we are printing. So it's simply printing the string apple.com. So this is what we are assigning the string value to the variable website, and while we are printing, it is printing in the form of string only. It automatically knows that the apple.com is a string and declares the website variable as a string. So therefore the types of website variable automatically becomes the string as we are assigning the string value. So explicitly no need to define that website is a can accept the string value only. So no need to define likewise. Now if we try to change the value of a variable, if we are trying to change the value of variable, then how it will work. So we can change the value of variable during programming, and that's why its name is variable, because we can change, we can vary the value, right? So website is equal to apple.com, which is previously we have seen the same way we have defined that website is taking one kind of string value, and we are trying to print that. And after that, if we are trying to assign the different value, new value to that same variable, so again I am taking the same variable website, and now we are saying that a programming.com is another string that I want to assign to the variable website, and then we are trying to print that website. So what is happening now, we can see here the first website, whenever we are printing, at that time the apple.com is the string over there within a website variable, so we are printing apple.com. But as we are changing it to the programming.com, so now we can see if we try to print the same variable, now its value is changed to the programming.com. So why this happens? Because on that memory location, now we are updating that value from apple.com to programming.com. So that's why the same variable can be get assigned with the multiple value, and whatever the latest value will be given to that variable, it can have only that value. So here we can see the example of the same variable with the different two values we can assign, and at the end it will take whatever the value is assigned recently. Then assigning the multiple values to the multiple variable. So we can assign the multiple values to the variable. So same values to multiple variable at once can also be possible. So like if we are saying ABC are the different variables, so these are the multiple variables and we are assigning the different values to that variable. So 5 with respect to A, then comes 3.2 with respect to B, and the hello with respect to C. So if we try to print, so it will get printed like A as a 5, B as a 3.2 and C is a hello, which is in the string format. So 5 is our integer, 3.2 is a floating point value, and hello is simply we can say a string value, right? So if we try to print this value, then simply we can get the A with the value 5, B with value 3.2 and a C with the value hello. So here we are assigning the multiple values to the multiple variables. We can do the another thing as well, like the same value if we want to assign to the multiple variables, then there is also the way to do that, and here we can see that we can assign that same as a string to the multiple variables. So this is also the way to defining the variables in a Python. Now if we say what exactly the difference is there within the variable and constant, so the diagram is in front of you right now. We can see the variables are open to accept any value, where constants are closed over here in, right? So we cannot assign, once the value is assigned, then we cannot change that. That is what the constant is here. So here a constant is a type of variable whose value cannot be changed. It is helpful to think of constant as a containers that hold the information which cannot be changed later. So once we are assigning the value, then that is what fixed. But how to define them? So actually there is a different way to define the constant. So like here we are saying pi is equal to 3.14. So this is what the value we are assigning as a constant value of pi to the variable pi. Now we can think of a constant as a bag of stores, some books which cannot be replaced once placed inside the bag. So simply an example is given that what kind of constant can be. So how to assign the value to constant in a Python? So in a Python, constants are usually declared and assigned in a module. Here the module is a new file containing the variable, functions, etc. which is imported to the main file. Then inside the module, constants are written in all the capital letters and underscores separating the words. Now I will explain one by one what it says. Actually the functions or a module is one concept we have in a Python. So module is the thing that we are writing it in a one external file, and then we can import those files so that we can make a use of contents of those files. So module is here in Python we have a separate Python file, and then later we can export that file, we can import that file in a Python. So here the module is a new file that containing the variable, functions, etc. So in that file we can also have the constant, and for using such a values, whatever the variables and the functions are there, to use these things we need to first import that. So that should be get imported in a main file where we need to use those all the functionalities or variables or that constant. So inside the module, constant we should write over there in the form of capital letters, and we can make a use of underscore. So let's have an example. We can see here we have created one file, say the constant.py. So this is what acting here as a module, which is the separate Python file with the .py extension, where we are defining some values here, that pi is equal to 3.14, gravity is equal to 9.8, and we are mentioning them in the capital letters, right? So these are acting as a constant. And now if we want to make a use of this pi and gravity somewhere else in another file, simply what we need to do is first import that constant. Okay, so no need to write here .py. We can simply import the constant file which we have declared previously as another separate module, and we are importing right now here. And then if we try to print that pi and gravity, so it will print, but only when you are accessing those value by using constant dot. So dot is the operator to access the values of that constant module, right? So here the name of module we should use as a constant and .py. If we simply write it as a pi, then it will generate an error because pi is not a part of main.py. It is the part of constant.py. So you need to access them only by using the name of that module itself or that file itself, right? So if we want to access, if we want to give something name, smaller name to instead of this constant, then we have to say that import constant as like co if I want to give, then I can simply say that co.py pi and co.gravity, means that is what the variable I want to access from the constant file. So that we can do here when we are importing from any other different file. So we can change the name here. For that we have to make a use of as keyword and then assign the name whatever we want. But once the name is assigned, then we have to use that name only to access those variables or a constant from another module. So here if we are accessing pi and gravity which we have declared in a constant.py, so we can access those by constant dot operator, and if we try to print them, then we can see whatever the value is assigned over there, that is 3.14 and 9.8 are printed respectively. So this is all about the constant that we can have within a Python. Now rules and naming conventions that should be used when we are declaring the variables and the constant. So generally the camel case notations are used to declare the variables. So it always starts with the lowercase letter, and then we can make a use of any uppercase letter in between, and again followed by the lowercase letter. So this is only the suggestion that we should use such a kind of notations to declare the variables, but not mandatory that it should start only with small letters or etc. Then using the capital letters where possible to declare the constant. So usually try when we are declaring the constant, try to use the uppercase letter only, capital letters. So in our previous example we have seen the example of pi and gravity, right? So we can make a use of such a capital letters to declare the constant. Then never use any special symbol like an @ or hash, then dollar, etc. Never use, in the sense that if you are trying to use this, then also it will get generate an error, because this is not the valid symbols are considered while we are using within a naming of that particular variable and constant. So we cannot use, only the one thing that we can use is underscore. Other special symbols we cannot use to give the name in a Python. Then one more suggestion is that don't start a variable name with a digit. Actually again the thing is same, we cannot give the digit as a starting letter of any variable name, otherwise again it is going to generate an error, right? So this is also not possible that the variable can start with a digit. Constant and variable name should have a combination of letters in lowercase a to z or uppercase a to z, means we can have the variable and constant names in the form of lower and uppercase formation. With that we can also make a use of digit, but not initially. After that, after the first letter, we can make a use of digit as well, and one only the special symbol allowed here to make a separation between the different words, that is what the underscore. So if we want to say the student name is the variable, and if we want to make the student and name separate, so we cannot make a use of dash or any particular thing, but we can use the separation as an underscore, student underscore name. So it can becomes the separation by using the underscore. If you want to create a variable name having the two words, then simply the underscore can separate them. So my name, my class, my roll number, these are the example. Now we can see here there is the use of lowercase and uppercase as well while declaring the variables here. So this is all about the variables and the constant in a Python. In the next series we'll have the introduction to the data types in a Python. So thank you so much. Thank you all of you.